Back when we did our Edward Scissorhands episode, a metric ton of you guys were super down for us to follow it up with Beetlejuice. Well, ask and you shall receive, assuming we feel like it, which we do in this instance. Here are 9 things you didn't know about Beetlejuice. Probably.
It's showtime.
Rumors of a Beetlejuice sequel are pretty much the internet's version of herpes. Just when you forget about it, there's another flare-up. Even now, there's a holding page on IMDb for a Beetlejuice 2, since Tim Burton and Winona Ryder have both more than hinted at it happening. In the event any of this turns out to be true, let's just hope that they've changed the sequel concept from what they had planned back in the 80s. See, there's been talk of a Beetlejuice sequel since Beetlejuice, but Tim Burton quickly became busy with Batman Returns and it never got off the ground. The pitch? Beetlejuice goes Hawaiian.
I'm the ghost with the most, babe.
I wish I was kidding, but I definitely am not. Tim Burton liked the idea of juxtaposing a surf movie with German expressionism, because it doesn't work at all. And that was how they came up with a plot revolving around the Dietzes opening a fancy hotel on a Hawaiian island. But then, see, there are a bunch of ancient Hawaiian ghosts that don't like any of this at all, so they seek Beetlejuice's help to scare them away. Blah, 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 Beetlejuice does what he does best, creating chaos across the whole island, of course, only after turning himself into something called Jucifer. In the end, Lydia saves the day by conjuring a tsunami to wipe out all the demons on the island. At this point, I will remind you that they were really going to make this movie. I think we can all agree that it's a really good thing that they didn't. Next thing, please. Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian sounds like a list of everything that could have gone wrong with the sequel, but the original film somehow got everything right, especially Beetlejuice himself. It's arguably Michael Keaton's best performance ever, which is why you might be surprised to find out how little he's actually in the movie. You know how the shark is barely in Jaws? Well, it's kind of the same deal here. Beetlejuice doesn't even show up until we're past the 25-minute mark, and he has less than 18 minutes of screen time in the entire 92-minute film. Keaton was able to shoot his entire role in just 2 weeks.
Good thing, too. I gotta do a photo shoot for GQ in about an hour and a half.
It was originally going to be even less screen time for the ghost with the most, but test audiences liked the characters so much the filmmakers went back to shoot this one extra scene for the ending with Beetlejuice in the waiting room. By the way, we have another thing about this very scene. In fact, it's our next thing.
You don't have an appointment, do you?
I'm sure you all remember the magician's assistant in the waiting room. The old getting sawed in half trick obviously didn't work out in her favor, but most people don't know that the lower half was played by Tim Burton's then girlfriend, which means that those are the director's girlfriend's legs that Michael Keaton is feeling up in this scene, all while Tim Burton watched quietly. Not weird at all. Beetlejuice is one of the greats movie-wise, but its production history really does prove that it's kind of a miracle that we get any good movies ever. For one, Beetlejuice wasn't even supposed to be comedic. Instead, he was going to be a winged demon, and when he was in his human form, he was going to be a small Middle Eastern man. The script was originally horror, with the Maitland's car crash being way more graphic and with Beetlejuice being a straight-up rapist and murderer. After deciding that might not exactly be fun for the whole family, they switched writers, making the character and the overall film more lighthearted. Beetlejuice became a pigeon-speaking, wisecracking ghost rather than, a bloodthirsty demon sex offender.
I'm not exposing that little girl to that pervert down there.
At one point, Tim Burton had wanted to pursue Sammy Davis Jr. for the role. Sam Kinison and Dudley Moore were also on the shortlist, but producer David Geffen suggested Michael Keaton, and the rest is history, and that is a bonus thing you didn't know. Remember when Beetlejuice turns into the snake? Well, you may not have known that this scene was actually shot before they'd even cast Michael Keaton. As a result, the animatronic snake they used originally didn't look like it because, they didn't know who Beetlejuice was yet. Once Keaton had been cast, they went back and shot some stop-motion animation with the snake we see here. This way, the filmmakers could be sure that the audience would understand that Beetlejuice is the snake. Otherwise, it might have seemed like just some rando snake demon from the Netherworld was terrorizing the house. And that would be bad.
We come for your daughter, Chuck.
Delia's fashion choices are a memorable undercurrent throughout the film. There aren't too many characters you see wearing gloves as a headpiece.
I can't believe we're eating Cantonese. Is there no Szechuan up here?
Or turning a sweater into pants. The pants Delia is wearing in this scene are actually Charles' sweater from this scene earlier. The sweater's just been turned upside down so the armholes are now leg holes, and then it's held up with suspenders. Not too sure what she did about the neck hole turned crotch hole though. Let's talk about a couple of inadvertent Easter eggs. Or maybe they were totally advertent, who can say? Also, advertent probably isn't a word. Anyway, we're talking about this scene where Beetlejuice is finally getting his chance to do his bio-exorcism. He's got those little bat wings on his ears, which weirdly foreshadowed Michael Keaton's next big movie role, Batman. As if that weren't enough, there's also a very Batman-esque ornament on the very top of Beetlejuice's carousel headpiece. Then underneath that thing that totally isn't the Batman logo, you can see there's a skull that looks a hell of a lot like Jack Skellington. And this was a good 5 years before The Nightmare Before Christmas, making this the slowest of burns. You might be surprised to hear that Beetlejuice is actually rated PG, especially with moments like this.
Nice f***ing model!
The PG-13 rating had been created some 4 years prior, but Beetlejuice somehow slipped by with the PG rating despite having an F-bomb. It would never happen again today, but this is just one of a select few movies that somehow got one past the MPAA. And by one, I mean one f***. Conversely, since that just got censored, we're not able to get one past the CineFix overlords. Last f***ing thing. Beetlejuice is named after the star. You know, the one that's the second brightest star in the Orion constellation? Yeah, that one. And within the movie, as well as the end credits, his name is spelled the same way as the star. So why is it spelled, Beetle space juice on the title cards? Because people are f***ing stupid. Okay, that's not the official answer, but hey, they even joke about not knowing how to pronounce Beetlejuice in the movie.
Beetle guy. Oh, Beetle.
Don't even say his name.
So ultimately, they spelled it the way they did in the film's title, 1, for easier marketing, and 2, because it's funnier that way. As far as answering why there's a space in Beetlejuice on the movie's opening title cards, but not one on any of the Beetlejuice posters or DVD cases or even IMDb, well, it's probably because someone somewhere screwed up, and now we're stuck with this weird discrepancy forever. Even though we went all out and did a 9er this week, we have a couple more Beetlejuice things that we dug up. So, who knows? If we're hard up for an idea down the line, we might just bust them out for a part 2. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more true-ish things about movies, and sometimes Michael Keaton feeling up the director's girlfriend, right here on Things You Didn't Know.